guys, I'm Devina. Welcome to my channel Open Your Mind, where we go on an adventure to explore the hidden wisdom in spirituality in a modern day context. Now imagine opening up a history book or a biography to learn all about a person's life from the beginning to the end. Now imagine that such a book exists about you. That's all about your life, but not only in this lifetime, your past lifetime and your future life possibilities as well. Sounds impossible? Well, maybe this video will change your mind. I'm in conversation with Reena, who's an expert on accessing and reading the Akashic Records, which is like the universe's super database on every person, every soul, and its journey from the dawn of creation. So, Reena, today we're going to be in conversation about a really fascinating topic, which is the Akashic Records. And this is something that I've learned about personally, thanks to you. I've come to you to access my own Akashic Records several times, and it's been a really wonderful and eye-opening spiritual journey, honestly unlike any other I've been on. And I've been in a place of seeking for some time, but accessing the Akashic Records with you and your knowledge and expertise has been truly a very, very unique experience. It's one that I would love to talk about further and to share with anyone who doesn't know what it is or might have a small idea and would like some more information. So without further ado, if we can just really start from the beginning, what is the Akashic Records and what does the term mean, the Akashic Records?
So as the word Akashic has in itself the root word, so to say, Akasha. So Akasha, if you see, is a Sanskrit word actually. So which means the sky.
Right.
So sky, ether. So anything which is related with the Akash, the sky, is what we are talking about here.
Right.
So we are talking about records. Records is anything which is like a database. Okay, so Akashic Records typically is your database. So your soul journey. You are a soul. You have incarnated in this physical body.
Yes.
But across different lifetimes, you have had different reincarnations, different ways in which you have experienced life. And this Akashic record, this soul book, so to say, because it contains everything about your soul journey.
Wow.
So imagine that there is a library, and there is a library in the skies, in the ether.
Yes.
So it would be an unlimited kind of space time reality. And there every soul has got a book, has got a soul book. Now can we go and touch it? No, but it is existing vibrationally.
Wow.
So it does exist, and it captures everything that we do in any lifetime. All our actions, inactions, our thoughts, everything in essence gets captured there.
Wow.
It is like an encyclopedia, the way you go to an encyclopedia to figure out things. So an Akashic Records helps you figure out the mystery of your own soul.
So when you say this term, your soul book, and you've just described it as an encyclopedia of yourself, so does that mean that it's kind of everything that you've ever been through as a soul? What is the soul book exactly, and how does it impact me today? How does it impact my lifetime right now as we speak?
In Hindu religion, it is considered that there is a divine being by the name Chitragupta. Okay. So he's like the librarian of all the souls. The ledgers, the ledgers that we used to have. Now we have all become computerized and everything is digital. So just imagine that there is a digital book, okay, a digital book or a vibrational book which is capturing everything that is happening in your life.
Wow.
So there are divine beings who are doing this capturing for you. So there is an AV kind of thing. So we are all, superstars. So everything that we do or do not do gets captured, and that is captured vibrationally. In another way, like that the recordings that happen of an artist, and we are able to hear them long after they're gone, right? How are we able to access it? right? It is imprinted, right? It is imprinted on something,
Yes.
a cassette or a disc or whatever.
Right.
And
Yes.
we are able to run it and we are able to hear it. So convert it for yourself that when you're doing your soul journey, everything is getting recorded. Everything is getting captured in essence, energetically. And that is the soul book that I'm talking about. So that is like a whole library of AVs of whatever you have done. Now,
Wow.
can I physically go and get it for you? No. But can I access it vibrationally? Yes.
It's all about vibrations ultimately. My soul journey, anything I might have experienced through previous lifetimes, is captured in an energy form, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
So if we can understand a little bit about how this works, the vibrations and energy, and how it really all ties together, and how can someone like you tap into that energy, that frequency? How does the whole thing work?
Okay, let me give a very simple example. We all have intuitive flashes.
Yeah.
We intuitively know, okay, something has happened to this person,
Yes.
or we are thinking of somebody and that person calls up,
And they call
or we
you.
get to know,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So you might brush it off as coincidence, but these things happen with all of us, right? And it is uncanny the way it happens. You cannot really brush it off, even if you want to. Yeah. So how does that happen? It is because we are energetically all connected.
Yes.
When they say that at soul level we are all one, we truly are one. We have come from the same source.
Yes.
We are made of the same matter.
Yes.
The Panch Bhuts, the five elements that we talk about, we are all made of that. And if you look at it, the whole of earth, it is recycling again and again, is it not?
Yes.
Everything is here, everything is going into it and again is getting born out of it.
Right, because energy cannot be created nor can it be destroyed.
Destroyed. Yeah, so
It's
it is
born.
there, it is there forever. So
Yes.
therefore, our own coming into the physical form and going out of the physical form is also part of the whole journey. So nothing is really lost ever. The
Right.
only thing that happens is we are blessed with amnesia when we are born, because if we are given the memory of all the lifetimes that we have had, we would be really stumped, because there would be so many things we have done n number of times and we have faltered, you know. So it would be very difficult to, sort of have a fresh take on something. If I've done something hundreds of times in a way which has not served me and I have the memory of that, I will not be able to have a new approach. So
Right.
therefore we don't have the memory of it.
Oh.
Yet there is a reservoir where everything is getting stored. You can relate it with Avatar. If you have seen the movie Avatar,
Yes.
see how the tree had everything, right?
Yes.
So likewise, this Akashic library that we are talking about is only a term. So in a way we can say there is a reservoir of universal wisdom and memory where everything that the humanity has done per se is stored.
Yes.
So obviously you and I are also part of that humanity.
Yes.
And our stories are also part of it, weaved into it. Now, how do I connect with it? I do it through a prayer. So that is how I have learned how to access it. Like if I am to do a reading for you or for myself, so I do a prayer, I use your name, and that's it. So I'm taken to that space or I connect with that energy. Now, to understand it in a very layman language, there are so many radio stations and TV channels, right?
Yes.
How do you tune into it? You simply go to a particular frequency where that channel or that radio station is operating from. And
Right.
bingo, you don't have to do anything.
Wow.
You start receiving it, right?
So then, for
So
yourself, as someone who can read the records, you've undergone an attunement. Is that right?
yes, that is a process which I have gone through. So now I'm able to access that realm, access that vibration in a very natural way, like the way I'm talking with you, the same way a session happens. You have experienced it.
When you say a
So
realm, do you mean beyond this three-dimensional realm that we are living in? Is
Yes.
that what you mean? Is it the fourth or fifth or perhaps, I know, 10th dimension? Is
It
that
goes beyond that. It goes beyond the fifth.
right?
Important thing to understand is it's a divine reservoir of wisdom and knowledge,
Yes.
and it is guarded by certain divine beings. Like we all understand, most of us know angels are there, masters are there, all the gods and goddesses that we talk about, they're basically divine beings. They're ascended souls.
Yes.
They're energies who are there to help the mankind evolve.
Wow.
Likewise, the space is guarded by or is taken care of by divine beings who have never incarnated in the physical form, nor will they ever do that. Because their work is to take care of that universal wisdom, the reservoir. That's it. So that is what they're doing, and they're known as we know them, as we like to term them, are the record keepers.
Right. So when you're about to access a record, whether for yourself or with someone, you, like you mentioned, you have a prayer and you request access from these librarians, basically.
Yes.
And
Yes.
then through the session, how does it work? Do you see images according to what, for example, if I were to come to you and I have some questions I would like answered, do you see images? Do you hear things? Do you feel things? How does it work?
It's interesting because for each person who is doing this work, it can be a different faculty. Like some people are able to hear, some people are able to see. For me, it's more the sense. So I have a download of information as thought.
Wow.
Mostly it will be a thought download. But again, it all depends on the client also who is coming for the reading.
Yes.
So every record, every individual has a different signature, just like we have a separate, thumbprint.
Yes.
Likewise, every soul has got a separate soul print, if I can put it that way. Or every individual coming has got his or her own imprint, the way they would be more willing to accept the
Right.
information coming through.
Right.
And therefore, these divine beings, the record keepers, the guardian angels, and the spirit guides, whoever is there for that session, facilitating that session, they provide the information in a way the person can receive.
Wow.
So it can be, very coded if the person is very secretive, doesn't want to share much,
Yes.
and still receive.
Yes.
So I might simply be shown geometric, symbols or some sacred geometry or some other coded way in which the message comes through, and
Yes.
the person is able to understand.
Right.
And then there are clients who are so open-hearted and open-minded. It's like it's like recently I had a session where the session happened for 1 hour, but the content was like it could have got downloaded in 2 or 3.
Right.
So no fixed format. It can be a visual, it can be an audio, it can be a thought download, it can be sensory also. Sometimes I get to smell fragrances, and that fragrance has a meaning for the client.
Wow.
So yeah, it's amazing.
Wow. For someone who's never experienced this before, would you say that they must come to you with a ready set of questions or what they are seeking for, or have you experienced that the messages will just come regardless of how the receiver, whether they are kind of prepared for it or not?
The only prerequisite, Devina, is it's more like they have to be willing to receive. That's all.
Yes.
If they are willing to receive,
Yes.
it will simply flow. Now, whether it flows as a download before the session or during the session, it can be a combination of both. As in, if somebody has already got a set of questions,
Yeah.
it might happen that when I connect with the record, I might get a download which covers most of the questions. Many times I come across such a scenario that
Right.
even before they ask the questions, the downloads that I have been shown, when I share it with them, they're like, wow, our questions are already answered, And then there are people where I will connect and I will perhaps not have much, only one or two things. two, three things.
Right.
And once they start asking the questions, it starts flowing.
Right.
So it's again a combination, all depending on, as I keep on saying, on the receiver.
Yes. Yes,
The way
absolutely.
you are willing to receive, it will be given the way you are able to receive.
Yes.
That's the whole thing.
Yes. And what happens once the session is over? Surely this is so much information for you as a person who's reading the records to have. Do you sort of store this information? Does it disappear? What happens after reading the Akashic records?
A very interesting question. Because what happens is once the session is done, I'm almost wiped clean of any information that flowed through me.
Wow.
It's like a channeling. So once the information is downloaded and it is delivered, as I love to call myself, I am that courier guy. I've delivered your package and I'm through.
Right.
So hardly ever it happens that I have a recall. And no, apart from that also, what I always emphasize to somebody who is coming for the first time, don't be scared. Don't feel that okay, I'm telling so much. Can it be misused? No. This is a work which is so sacred that nothing can be misused.
Yes.
And if I'm not in that space, I cannot do that work. I'm very clear on that.
Yes.
So confidentiality, just like in counseling, is an inherent part of it. Likewise, in Akashic record readings also, it is the first prerequisite that I have to have
Yes.
as a reader.
Yes. Yes. Or else you would not have access to it. You would not be able to
No.
download the information or perceive it through any of your senses. Right.
We misuse any kind of privilege. I would say it's a privilege that is given. Now, if I misuse the privilege, of course, everything will have a consequence.
Okay, so now let's talk about, I would say, probably the most crucial part of the records, the fact that you are tapping into our past lives, right? That's really what it's all about. You're understanding where our soul has been, and I suppose what a past situation, what kind of implication it might have on our present life. So can you explain to us a little bit about this very fascinating concept of past lives? I'm sure something we've all, whether we believe in it or not, we all have so much curiosity and there's so much sort of enigma on this topic. So if you can explain a little how it
Actually,
works in terms of Akashic
yeah.
records, at least.
So my whole journey into this space happened because I had questions.
Yeah.
I had questions regarding my present situation. So what a reading essentially does is it can give you a lot of insights about your current situation. So whatever you're going through,
Yes.
why is it the way it is?
Yes.
Many of us have this. Okay, if there is a constant friction in a relationship, if there is something where somebody is struggling with the money,
Yes.
so if there is a struggle, if there is any kind of repeated patterns, so very human curiosity is to ask why me?
This is why I came to you as well. It's just the fact that there was a recurring pattern in my life. And honestly, it felt like no matter what I did, sort of intellectually, I would say, to deal with it, it was not going anywhere. It was stuck. And I just reached such a roadblock that I thought, I must turn to something else, turn to spirituality, because whatever I'm doing on this earthly plane at least is not working. And that's what led me to you. So I do understand this, and I presume it's a very common occurrence, right? When people
Yes.
need to turn to spirituality when there is suffering and you just don't know how to manage it.
A very common phenomena that happens is in especially in relationships where there is any kind of abuse or any kind of recurring pattern.
Yeah.
So the person coming for a reading is in a space of, oh my God, why me? And why am I going through? Interestingly, when we go into their records and we are sure different lifetimes where they have done the same thing to somebody else.
Right.
Okay. So it's all about the soul goes through everything. It is a saint and a sinner, both.
Wow.
As I keep on reminding people that just because you are where you are in this lifetime doesn't mean you were always at this level.
Yes.
If you feel very magnanimous, if you are helping other people in this lifetime, does not mean that you have not been just the
Yes.
extreme opposite of who you are today.
Right.
So when the lifetimes get shown, and I narrate to them what I'm being shown, because obviously I can't produce a photocopy or a printout of what I'm being shown. It's like a narrative, and it comes the way it comes.
Right.
And then something shifts, Devina, because when they are able to receive the essence that, okay, boss, I've also done this to some other soul or to this soul.
Yes.
And that narrative itself amazingly, miraculously shifts the space for that person.
Wow.
Because I can't produce any proof, right? And yet, in the narration, in the sharing, something miraculous happens always. The
Yes.
person is able to see the whole situation in a different way.
Absolutely.
And that makes them, more sympathetic, or perhaps they're able to see that, okay, whatever is happening, it's like second half of the movie. First half, you have lived in some other lifetime. This
Wow.
is part two. So there is a continuance.
Yes.
The
Something
story
new gets
continues.
revealed to you that normally you would not be able to see.
Yeah, exactly. So the details and the kind of essence, the stories that come through, it's amazing. And it's amazing how people are able to resonate with it.
Yes.
Obviously, they are not in a past life regression therapy session, and yet I've seen people closing their wounds,
Wow.
and being able to move beyond it.